Good morning, dear Dharma friends. The light is changing. It was much darker when I got up this morning than it was a few weeks ago. Today is August the 27th, counting in a particular way that we decided or somebody decided on. It looks like we're passing through the end of summer and fall is upon us. Here in Portland, Oregon, and I'm Robert Beatty, and this is a presentation from the Portland Insight Meditation Community, which is a thriving experiment in American Buddhism. I've been teaching here in Portland since 1979, and something really beautiful has grown, developed. You can check out the website, portlandinsight.org, and find all kinds of very fine, useful information. Well, I have a fine poem for us this morning. It's from Lao Tzu, possibly a contemporary of the Buddha, but in China, and possibly also a collection of wise elders that have been attributed to a person. We don't know, and it doesn't matter. This is from the book, the collection, the Hua Hu Ching, and I will do my best to post this both to the connections list and also to the my website, the blog. I believe that I hope that the YouTube and Facebook channel is working. I purchased PIMC purchased yesterday a $300 membership in the phone support club. So I had a very fine young man from way south somewhere spend over an hour with me on the phone controlling the computer yesterday, and it looks like it's broadcasting fine. I hope that's the case. So here's the poem, Lao Tzu. I keep being drawn into your faces. It's nice to see you this morning. Why scurry about looking for the truth? It vibrates in everything and every not thing right off the tip of your nose. Can you be still and see it in the mountain, the pine tree, yourself? Don't imagine that you'll discover it by accumulating more knowledge. Knowledge creates doubt, and doubt makes you ravenous for more knowledge. You can't get full eating this way. The wise person dines on something more subtle. She eats the understanding that the named was born from the unnamed, that all being flows from non-being, that the describable world emanates from an indescribable source. He finds this subtle truth inside his own self and becomes completely content. So, who can be still and watch the chess game of the world? The foolish are always making impulsive moves, but the wise know that victory and defeat are decided by something more subtle. They see that something perfect exists before any move is made. This subtle perfection deteriorates when artificial actions are taken. So be content not to disturb the peace. Remain quiet. Discover the harmony in your own being. Embrace it. If you can do this, you will gain everything and the world will become healthy again. If you can't, you'll be lost in the shadows forever. Why scurry about looking for the truth? It vibrates in everything and every not thing right off the tip of your nose. Can you be still and see it in the mountain, the pine tree, yourself? Don't imagine that you'll discover it by accumulating more knowledge. Knowledge creates doubt, and doubt makes you ravenous for more knowledge. You can't get full eating this way. The wise person dines on something more subtle. He eats the understanding that the named was born from the unnamed, that all being flows from non-being, that the describable world emanates from an indescribable source. She finds this subtle truth inside her own self and becomes completely content. So who can be still and watch the chess game of the world? The foolish are always making impulsive moves, but the wise know that victory and defeat are decided by something more subtle. They see that something perfect exists before any move is made. This subtle perfection deteriorates when artificial actions are taken. So be content not to disturb the peace. Remain quiet. Discover the harmony in your own being. Embrace it. If you can do this, you will gain everything, and the world will become healthy again. If you can't, you'll be lost in the shadows forever. Heavy last line, isn't it? I know I heard Jack Kornfield use that poem one time. He left off the last line. It's kind of more uplifting. If you can do this, you'll gain everything and the world will become healthy again. In the Buddha's teachings, actually, right in some of in the wonderful painting I have of the 12 steps of dependent origination, right near the center, there's a band. And there are beings who are being pulled down toward the hell realms, and there are beings who are finding their way up to awakening. And in my life, all my professional life, probably 95% or more of the people I have encountered have been waking up and their lives have been improving. And there's just been that couple or three handfuls who were descending into greater and greater unconsciousness. Very difficult. So let's be among those who get up early in the morning and come and meditate together and develop a practice which certainly weights the odds in our favor. Oops. And also to remember the refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I take refuge in being awake. I take refuge in the Dharma and the way things actually are. And I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of practice. Can you hear the guitar? A marvelous instrument, isn't it? The way sound comes out of nothing. Comes out of nothing, does its dance, and then vanishes. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya, Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. I take refuge in being awake. So let's do the simple practice of being awake, being our natural selves. I counted yesterday, and just a rough count. It's been about 5 months that we've been gathering together in the morning, starting in my dining room, and then our earthquake shed, and then the tent for a long time. And now in this beautiful, cozy, warm little house that is ours, created by the community. Banding together, rising early. Noticing the fact of the body. It breathes in and it breathes out. The body also touches the chair and the floor, the cushions. Everywhere and anywhere we attend, the hands, for instance, there is the life of this present moment. There are sensory objects, the body, the liking and disliking that arises from sense contacts. It's all the mental formations, memories, plans, past, future, and the phenomena, the fact of seeing and hearing and smelling. The 5 hindrances, the 7 enlightenment factors. Mindfulness, curiosity, energy, joy, concentration, tranquility, equanimity. We sit as the ultimate gardeners, cultivating the crops of our own hearts and minds. So please come home to breathing in and breathing out. What if it's really true that the truth is right here? What we are seeking has always been right here. What we are seeking with has always been right here. That's why we speak of it as waking up, seeing. Knowing what's really here. Awareness greets the breath as it's born, co-arises with the breath. Awareness greets a thought as it's born. Co-arises with the thought. Thoughts lead to feeling, lead to craving, desire, lead to reaching out and acting. And so the cycle continues. With awareness, with mindfulness, there's a sense of more space, more room in which to operate, to decide, do I want to say this? Do I not want to say this? Do I want to eat this, consume this, buy this, act in this way, or not? The mind may wander a little, or it may wander a lot. How it presents itself is the way it is. How curious. How curious can the mind be about what's happening right now? It's a very different way, a radically different way of being than planning for something later. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But to be able to simply abide in the present, letting the present be exactly as it is the door to freedom. And so the mystery of being awake and alive happens in this moment. The livingness of the human organism is beyond, it's unimaginably complex. We have medical specialists who focus on one organ system and even subsets of that for a lifetime. And for us, mostly it just keeps on living until it doesn't. Please let us cultivate a moment of gratitude for the body. A vehicle for a lifetime. One of the conditions for consciousness being present, the body. I want to think of your hands with gratitude. Of your digestive system with gratitude. Of the kidneys doing their filtration. The liver being a chemical factory. Denaturing bad things and bringing good things into being. The pancreas creating its insulin, all automatically. The same is true for everyone in our group, everyone in the world. There are so many things working perfectly and so many things that can work not perfectly. We're seeing in the global pandemic the effect of a virus we don't have immunity for. Suffering comes of that. So let us on the in-breath simply wish ourselves well. May I be really happy and healthy today. And on the out-breath, perhaps thinking of someone you love easily, may they be healthy and happy today. Content. Breathing in an intention of wishing yourself well. Appreciating the beauty of your being. And breathing out to maybe all the members in our group. Or thinking of all the members in our group. It's probably several hundred overall, coming and going. Wish yourself well, wish the others well. And the words may or may not be important. What is important is the intention. In a very short time, we'll be finished with this inwardness and go about our lives, our outer lives. What about carrying forward with us into the day this, on the in-breath, wish yourself well. On the out-breath, wishing that which we take to be the other well. May I be happy, may all beings be happy. Simple. Let us transform our day with mindfulness and with love and compassion. And now bringing awareness into the face, into the eyes, and then doing what's necessary to open the eyes and allow seeing to occur. The mystery of seeing. Seeing. Well, I want to try an experiment. I've given up on the slideshow, but I think I can do this. Let's see if it'll work. Do you have the tent, Jim?
Yes.
Does it change? Oh, hang on.
Pardon?
Did it change now?
Yeah, now you have the table and...
Okay, great. So I'm just going to show you this little series of pictures. It'll take about a minute. This was the one day I experimented with broadcasting outside till the rain came. This is the arrival of the tough shed. It went up in one day, the basic house. It's all insulated. There's Francine, the day she came with all the plants, and the fellow for the stone. Here's the stone. My little porch. Beautiful art piece. There's Mish, the cosmic painter of murals and houses. That's the beautiful color behind me. And there's the little Buddha Broadcasting Network sign, which Mish whipped up one morning. I don't know how artists do it. It just makes no sense to me, the way they can create things. And there it is. That's what I'm in right now. And this was yesterday morning with the lights on and warm inside. Buddha has his special spot. And then here's the, that's what it looks like from where I sit. And that's it. So thank you, dear friends, for helping create this really comfy spot. It's funny how one thing leads to another. With the sun coming up now, I realize I really do have to have blinds. So now there's another adventure to learn how to buy blinds. So I want to be sure that there is room for you to share. So I'll just touch the highlights of the announcements. Please check the PIMC.org, PortlandInsight.org website for the classes that are coming up in the fall. And also, if you're not on the Connections email list, you can do that by going to the website or writing avi at portlandinsight.org. Also, we've entered our mid-year fundraising time to see if we can increase the number of monthly donations. And if for those of you who are making them, to see if you would consider increasing them. So we're doing okay, you know. So many places are going out of business, and we're certainly not in that category at all, but it'd be wonderful to stabilize our budget before the end of the year. And why? Well, is this important to you? Sure is to me. And so many people find great solace and encouragement through PIMC. And it's so fun to do this. I can let go. I can share what I have. And I think that's all the announcements I want to do. Have I missed anything huge, Jim?
No, not huge.
Small?
Small. No. I'm really feeling quiet this morning.
Yeah, me too. So, I'm going to be quiet. I try to be quiet and ask if you have questions, comments, complaints. I should also mention, right, I don't have a copy right here, but Robert Beatty's book that he wrote with Laura Musikansky is loose in the marketplace. So please, if you haven't read it yet, please pick up a copy and enjoy. People are really getting a lot out of it. I'm very pleased to hear.
Hey Robert, this is Vic.
Hello, Vic.
Hey. The last several days I've been finding that there's been a lot of kind of regret about the past, worry about the future, that seems to be happening in just the day-to-day life. I was just wondering if you had any tips about how you can kind of draw yourself back to the present moment in your day-to-day as you're going through your everyday life.
Well, starting with mindfulness of breathing is not a bad spot. Something that I did at PIMC, God, it's amazing how fast it passes, but years ago now, and I've had this at home for a long time, it's the stars method, where you put stars up around the house. You put a star on for men, it's particularly helpful. For the underside of the toilet seat, you lift it up and you put a star there, and it says, be awake, pay attention to what you're doing. But by the side of the door when you're leaving, or I put about 60 stars up at PIMC by the knives, and it's just a reminder: come back to the present and be with what you're doing right now, and do it dozens and dozens of times a day. Make it playful. When you discover you're really hurtling along unconsciously, stop. Take a deep breath. Just one. There's I think there's still a timer. I'm not sure where it is on the PIMC website. Years ago, a fellow made it. You can put it on your computer, and you can set it to give you. It's got a beautiful mellifluous gong in it, and set it for anywhere between 1 minute and infinity, I guess. But set it, and it randomly will create a gong. So you can set it at like every 20 minutes, more or less, in a random fashion. Your computer will go, which you're sitting at, all hunched over, and we turn into these little monsters that are typing away. It'll give a gong, and then really be disciplined about pause, take a breath, remember where we are. We fall into these trances endlessly. Well, it's not endlessly, but a lot. And we're building a different habit, which is of waking up in the trance and becoming that which is aware. So little rituals. I have a little Buddha in my car. He's been there. Well, this is the third car he has graced. And I try to remember, and I do pretty well, especially in the summer. I pick a flower on the way to the car, and I put it up there. I offer it to the Buddha, and then I take a couple of conscious breaths before I press the ignition. And there's a great teaching in it, right? By the end of the day, that flower, which was so beautiful, has turned into this shriveled little heap. And every day that happens. Every day that I go somewhere. So is that the kind of thing you're looking for?
Yes, thank you very much.
Strategies for awakening. And let it be fun. Like your toothbrushing. Let brushing your teeth really be a meditation practice. Stepping into the shower. Taking your pills. When the phone rings, let it ring twice, especially work. Let it ring a time or two or three, and then reach and pick it up. And remember, I'm reaching out for a sacred encounter. Notice the liking, and you pick up the phone, you see who it is, and there's a liking or disliking response, or maybe neutral. But sometimes the incoming calls are not what you want to be dealing with, but that's what's happening. So you notice that. Or sometimes it's exciting. It's like, oh, look who's calling. Yay, I'm glad of that. So to notice the second foundation of mindfulness happening there. There's the story, I don't know, maybe it's from the Pali Canon, I don't know. Two monks are mindfully walking toward the village or into town on their alms round in the morning, and they get right to the edge of town, and of course they're hungry. They haven't eaten since the day before. And one of them pauses and says to his colleague, I'll see you later. I have to go back. I have to go back to the monastery and start over. I just lost concentration. Now, who knows if that happened? But it speaks to a certain diligence. I'm going to try to be mindful all day, countless times, without getting tense. That's the other thing. It's not I'm going to be mindful. So I'm going to watch as this awareness keeps coming into being. This is what I'm doing now, or this is what's happening now. And repetitive physical tasks are really great for that. Doing dishes. What a great place to practice being conscious.
Robert. This is Martha.
Hello, Miss Martha.
Hi. You talked from time to time about completion lust.
Yeah.
I'm definitely in that category. I guess I could say I suffer from it sometimes. But I've been thinking about it a lot because I don't know how to talk about it really. Except, I really value being a productive person, within my community and within my household. And I enjoy that. I enjoy simple rote tasks, gardening, meeting. I'm very focused and concentrated on it, but I'm also pretty intent on finishing things. I'm a list maker. I love to check things off the list and get it done. And I love to anticipate the next task and move on to that. And, it's sometimes it kind of brutalizes me, But how to balance that, how to, because I'm not going to go to a cave and not, I really struggle with this idea that it doesn't matter what we do, which is sort of the message I get sometimes about it. And I think there's consequences to not doing things, not finishing things too. So if you could speak to that a little bit, I'd appreciate it.
I don't think the teachings are to not do things. I think it's a shift in emphasis from the completion of things being the goal to the awareness of the process of things being the goal, in a way that you can still move along quickly and get the dishes done quickly, or whatever it is that we're doing, but we can do it with mindfulness and with ease, and there's a certain tightness in the throat that I get, or a tightness in the core when I'm unconsciously hurrying, and then it's one thing gets completed and then there's the next and going on to the next thing to get it completed, and there's hardly time for a breath. And so it's breaking that habit, I think, which is the essence of it, which is pausing long enough to, and also to reorient. I can get caught up in things that I'm doing that really make no sense to be doing at that time, but I'm caught in the sense of I've got to complete this. I'm going to please somebody. I don't even know who it is. Right? I'm going to please God somehow if I'm a good worker and I get this finished, or maybe my parents will approve of me or something. And so I think it's that backing off to just have the opportunity to be more aware and more, to enjoy more, actually, to be more present in the action rather than living in a fantasy of when this is completed, then I'll be successful or I'll be something. I don't feel very articulate around it this morning, but I know we've been doing a lot of work on the house that came along with this little house. There's a lot of walking between here and the garage. And I started walking that calmly and mindfully, being aware of the walking. And there's a gate to go through and 2 doors between here and the garage. And sometimes I remember, and it's a pleasure to walk across the backyard and through the gate and be sure the dog doesn't get out and all those things. But I've done it now, I don't know how many times, but many, many times, quite consciously. And the work keeps getting done, but I'm less anxious somehow. I'm less, it's like I'm in the present moment more. And then I forget. Is that addressing what you're curious about?
Yeah, absolutely. I, I think it's probably sort of part of my life work to try to figure that out, because it's yeah. But I mean I understand it intellectually, but it's a constant tension in my life, you know. So.
Well, I think it's it's the thin edge of the wedge. We start with a few things like walking across the backyard, or I got to do the dishes for 10 people for 2 months, 3 meals a day when I did an early retreat, and it turned washing dishes into quite I mean, I was bored to tears, literally. I was bored to almost to death. All this sitting and walking meditation and no entertainment, except there was a train in the late afternoon that came by outside. But then I got the dishes, and I got so into reaching, bringing, placing in the water, having the water as hot as I could tolerate with my hands, and then all those beautiful bubbles, and then taking each plate and washing it, putting it in the other sink, the rinse water, and then taking it out and putting it in the rack. I took a long time to do the dishes for 10 people, but I became very engrossed in it, very one-pointed, and then I wasn't bored. I was right there in the present moment. And that has led to doing dishes can be, for me, very calming. I can also rush and try to get it over with because I've got important things to do. But if I take my time, then by the time I'm finished doing the dishes, I'm much calmer. I'm much more at ease. And I think that a better job is done.
I do try to do that, and sometimes I'm successful, but then I should be anticipating the next thing. I should be doing this efficiently so that I can,
right.
Internal dialogue that's just.
Well,
I think it's part. I mean, it's something I take pride in. That I'm productive, that I get a lot done, and I like the results of that. So it's pretty embedded in the.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's either or. I don't think I'm encouraging you not to be efficient or even not to work fast, but to do it, to pause long enough every now and then to be awake.
Yeah.
You make fewer mistakes.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I find coming to mind one of my quotes from Mr. Rogers. It ends on it's a quote on perfectionism. At the end, he says, "Thank God we don't have to earn every little shred of love we get in life." And I know in myself the completion lust is, if I just work enough and I just get it done fast enough and I get it done well, then maybe I'll be worthy of being loved. Maybe I'll have earned my place on the planet, or there's a certain desperate child in there who is hoping my parents will notice me. Which is where that came from. Hoping they'll see that I'm a good boy and that I've really done what they asked. And there's a lot of that in my childhood. I was such a good boy, taking care of my mother in particular, trying to please my father. I know I shined my father's shoes. I kind of liked it, but I shined my father's shoes at least once a week, maybe twice a week. And because I so wanted him to notice me. And those patterns stick, those early patterns. And
yeah, I, as a little girl, I cleaned our house the same way, trying to,
Yeah.
every time when my parents would go away, our house was chaotic, and I would, even if like 8, 9 years old, I'd clean the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll bet in the end it was successful.
Yeah. No, I'm still doing it. I get that.
I know. Setting ourselves free from the neurotic patterns is really one thread of the practice, that we get to just be who we are and with our neurotic patterns, and we can not identify with them so deeply.
Good morning. Hi, Robert.
Hello, Palakini.
Hello, hello. Boy, thank you so much for the little tour of the beginning and culmination of your little house. I like when you say little house instead of tough shed. It sounds a lot more cozy.
Oh, it is. It is a little house.
Indeed. Well, I just wanted to update on my granddaughter, Gracie. She is in Boston and will have surgery tomorrow. They have been extremely careful with all of the COVID and all of the pre-surgery examinations and labs and all of that. And everybody has signed off, and so she will have surgery tomorrow and hopefully tomorrow morning. So by the time we're on, it'll be 10 o'clock in Boston. So hopefully she'll be maybe in and out of surgery. So I'm feeling a lot less concerned about it at this point, as they've been so very, very careful with her. They actually lost a little child not too long ago doing this, and when I heard that, I really didn't want her to have the surgery. But quality of life is really important, obviously, and so I'm breathing easier, and I think, certainly I breathe easier because I come here in the mornings, and so I'm just appreciative, and when I share, I bring all of you along with me, so thank you for sharing this path with me. Thank you.
Thanks, Palakini. Well, we're coming up on 10 after 8 already. I'm pleased to say it looks as though the FaceTime and YouTube broadcast, at least it's continuing. Hope it worked for those of you that are on that. Anything anyone's sitting on that you're censoring but would really like to share? Well, that being the case, I think I saw... Do we have... Oh, there we are. Hi. Well, let's sing our way out of here. Hang on. I'll participate. Turn on participants. Turn off mute. Unmute is an awkward term. All right. Are we ready? May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Goodbye, dear friends. Have a lovely, mindful day. Good. Nice to see you, Janine.
Goodbye, Valerie. Goodbye, Allison.
Hi, Susan.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Night, Moon.
Namaste, everyone.
Bye.
Shapiro. Brothership.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming to the party. Goodbye, dear friends on Facebook. I really hope that worked.